the biggest issue when we separate and say black men don't or men don't or women don't. This is a whole issue as a whole. We collectively, both men and women, are coming from broken homes and we're not doing the work that we need to do. Now there's a lot of different factors as to why. Some people don't have the financial means. Some people don't see the value in therapy. Some people don't feel like they're broken. So it's really hard to tell a person or get a person to value something that they have never saw the benefit from. If mom and dad sat in a house together and they drunk their problems away and they had the worst coping skills, then it's really unfair to say that any both men or women would, you know either man or woman would see the value in seeking therapy, because they don't see that and they haven't had the experience. So when we talk about like our experiences, and I this is something that I really struggle with a lot of times, is taking myself and my own experience from people out of the equation. Because that's we all know that our experiences are dictated by our own internal factors, but as a whole, we can't say that all black men are this way or all black women are this way, and this is a one-sided thing, because it's not. At the end of the day, we collectively know that there's a disconnect, that often starts with childhood issues, and until we address the childhood issues, um, we're not gonna move ahead. So I don't know. I missed a few minutes of the conversation, and it seemed like y'all may have been got kind of heated. But the real reality is the work needs to be done uh before the dating ever happens. Like, a lot of relationships are coming in, or people coming in with the idea that this person is solely their role in the relationship is to make this person happy, or make them whole, or make them feel,
Mm-hmm.
or make them a better version of themselves, and that is not possible even for a healthy
Mm.
person in a healthy relationship. The goal should ultimately be that I am internally happy, and of course, healing for anybody, and everybody got some form of trauma, one way or another. Healing is not something that happens one time. It is a continuous thing that we do daily,
Mm.
consistently over and over and over again. So the focus, I think, should not necessarily be on dating anyone until you're at a place
Mm.
it's with your own choices. So when I am whole, I have value to give someone else, and I can see
Right.
relationship that I have. Like I said, as we do we do so much damage like that, and then for whatever reason, then we become parents, and then now it's not just my trauma that I have not resolved, or not just my issues for myself. Then now I have a kid that has issues, and now
Mm.
co-parent with a person who doesn't even know how to love themselves, more or less talking about another child. It's so many issues beyond that. So if we to talk about it, we have to talk about it, and we have to really, really talk about it. And the biggest issue is people don't want to hear the truth. It's so easy to blame the other party. Well, all men ain't shit, or all women ain't shit. It's so easy to say that. But the real question is, why were you attracted to them in the first place? What
Right.
led you to be interested in the person, knowing, because and I'm a survivor of many things, right? So when I look at the relationships that I had in the moment that I had it with that person, there had to be some connection that we shared, or we wouldn't have had a relationship. The real reality is people aren't dating for love, or they're not dating for what they should be. They're dating for convenience or finances, or like I said, looking for this ideal plug-in. Well, you have to be the man, and you got to be, hey, I'm the protector, I'm the provider, and oh, I got to be like, it's so many stereotypes that kind of breaks down the nature of the relationship, and that's why we can't move forward. It's just like I said, there's so many small little hats that we can't spend our time blaming any portion of that on the other sex. The real reality is, since we all have trauma, and some of our trauma is just debilitating, the first step should be, okay, before I'm looking for a relationship with anyone, the relationship starts with me. and then thereafter, everybody else.
So
Just
let me ask you this, because going back to what me and Mike spoke about earlier, the divorce rate is high amongst blacks than any other race in the country, right?
mhm,
One of the statistics that I identified was that in 1960, 62% of the black family was married. Now it's down to 32% or somewhere in the low 30s. Why do you think that is? Why, out of
people
all
don't
races?
value. They don't find value in marriage.
Right, but in a black family,
That's what I'm
amongst other
saying.
races.
Family, we don't find value in marriage. Why would I marry him or her if they don't gross this? Why would I marry
Mm,
them if they don't look like this? What's the point? Because they're, like I said, the dating scene is off. So the
it,
marriage scene most certainly would be off because the dating scene isn't right. We people aren't coming into dating to actually marry. They're marrying because, well, I got her pregnant. Or
right.
or or I married her because I love her. And we all know that love is a thing. And I'm a divorced woman, so I'm speaking from a place of understanding that love is a part of the relationship, but it cannot be the only thing. You can't base your whole entire relationship off of you love that person, because
Mm,
love is fleeting. I might
totally agree.
today, I might care for him today, but tomorrow I can't stand his ass. And since I
Right.
got this phone in my hand and I have so many options, and the world says, well, you really don't have to work it out. Actually, here's the paperwork. We can go do something else. That's what people do. So they don't find value in themselves. They don't find value in the mate that they choose. They don't find value in marriage as a whole. Why do it?
I'm gonna say this.
Mhm,
I'm gonna say this. So I picked up on something from an individual a few years ago before I got married. When I got engaged, so I was talking to this individual about marriage. They've been married for 40 some years,
mhm,
and when I say they're like two teenagers,
mhm,
you would be like, this is ridiculous. Like this chick and this dude is really winning, and
mhm,
it's no shaking or faking.
mhm,
But the best advice I got from that individual, I said, yo, what are you doing? Like to keep it fresh like that, knowing, man, y'all been together since the 90s, the early 90s,
mhm,
and y'all still together. So he's like, yeah, he said, what we did and what we do, he says three things. And these three things, what he told me, I implemented that in my marriage. One, get counseling.
mhm,
Everybody I know that's so quick to say, yeah, we did counseling. We did the premarital thing. Okay, that's not that's not it. Counseling means consistently,
mhm,
meaning like we have it to where we do it once a month. And he said that's the best way to do it. Once a month, whoever your counselor is, stick with them and have a session.
mhm.
It doesn't have to be no 6 hour session. It could be a nice 1 hour session or a quick 2 hours. It shouldn't be no more than 2 hours. That's one. Two, evaluate yourself, not her, yourself. Meaning, I hold the evaluation for me and my wife every 2.5 to 3 months, every quarter. She'll tell you. I either call her or I'll sit there and be rubbing her feet and ask her certain questions. How am I doing as your husband? Are you satisfied the way I'm providing for you? Or are you happier the way I'm treating you? Is there something I can be doing better? Is my appearance what you expect it to be, or could it be better? Where can I improve? Where
Mhm.
do you feel I'm slacking as a man, as a husband, or whatever the case? Because you might see something I don't see.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? So that's number two. And number three, date. Date your wife. Date your spouse.
I think that's really important, but you're coming from a place of desiring the relationship.
Mm.
So yes, of course, that is very great key topics.
Uh,
But a lot of times
sorry.
people aren't in the relationships to the desire this each other. So even if you're at a point where, you know, it you want to be married, you're seeking the relationship and you're tweaking it so that it can become what you want it to be. So many people aren't doing that because they're not seeking to be their lifetime partner.
But
You know,
is it because they don't know how? Because I
I
think
think so. Yeah, a lot of times, I mean, some people will tell
Goes
you
back.
that different women, and it's rare that a lot of people see successful marriages. And I mean, you might know, you know, how many people, if you had to take a poll of 10 marriages to 10 married people, that you could honestly say that, of course, everybody have their things, but who is really happy in their marriage? You know, who is really, is this being modeled to me? Because in anything, to desire anything, you have to find value in it.
All right.
If I don't find value in it, it's because I don't desire it, right? So,
But you go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
you're right. So because we're not modeling that behavior and there is no model for the behavior, you know, 20, 30 years ago, 40, 50 years ago, in the 50s, there was no other option. There was no people. That's what they done. That's what it was. That's what it was gonna be, and that's just how people live life. There was no such thing as the internet. They did, and it's not like people weren't cheating and doing, but they weren't leaving each other either. So yeah, they might have been doing things to piss each other off, and you know, I could have did, but they also uh didn't seek to break the bondage that they had, you know, made with their marriage. Now it's not that. It's okay where there's always a better option. It's all and it will always be. And for the people who do date and you know they get to a point in a place where they're not really ready to settle down, and that's a whole nother topic because sometimes people get married for pressure of society. I myself um got into a really bad relationship because I had children, and I felt that the community would look at me in a certain way. I didn't want to deal with the statistics behind being a black woman with children, raising my kids as a single parent. And there were so many small factors that was involved in my marriage that led me to actually go through with the marriage. 2 months down the line, I knew it wasn't for me. But not marriage itself, like not being committed to one person, but you know, allowing societal pressures to tell me that this is the, you know, since that's your children's father, you don't have a choice or don't have an option. So you got peer pressure, you got it's a lot of different things that just don't make it work. But you know, even down to that equal yoke thought. This person is my equal. And in many ways that is very true. But they are an individual outside of the marriage. So yes, we may be husband and wife, but I am still an individual person and you are as well. So we still have to remind ourselves that collectively we are this, but individually we mean something as well.
But
And,
correct me if I'm wrong, but when you marry, it no longer becomes it's no longer about the individual, right?
and
It's
that's
the
what
it's
I'm
but
saying.
it's the marriage, it's the union first, and the individual. Yes, we both have our own, characteristics. We both have our own personality, things that we enjoy doing, and there are gonna be times where we have to have time to ourselves, but the marriage comes before our own wants, right?
And that's exactly what I'm saying is I'm not talking about like the thought behind that, right? So then the person loses their
Identity.
yes behind this idea that they have to be this role at all points in time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you are married and you're supposed to carry yourself that like that, and the union is very important and you have to respect that choice that you made with that person. But that still does not change the fact that you are an individual person, and slavery has skewed our mind to think that we can own people. You cannot own a person even in a marriage. This is still an individual person.
I
Yes,
I
we are in a union together. Yes, we are a foundation together, but we are still individual people who make the choice to continuously bring our union together.
I totally agree with you on that. I think if an individual was doing something before they got married, they should be able to do it even while they're married.
Absolutely. And
If,
it shows resentment. You ever known somebody, and I know somebody personally, not to cut you off, but I know somebody personally that was a great musician, right?
mm-hmm,
So this guy, he was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful musician.
mm-hmm,
His wife met him while he was touring. That's who that man was. That's who she fell in love with. That's who,
right.
you know what I'm saying?
I get it.
They made a decision to get married. Even though he's doing everything he can to please her because of our own internal issues and her, you know, whatever she has going on with herself. Now this man can't go out in the road and perform because he's a married man. That's who that man was prior. That is
Right.
passion. That's what he is. And when
Right.
you think of him and you make him feel like because he's married to you, he has to lose a piece of himself, that's wrong. That to me, I'm thinking, you know what? I love my husband so much because he is a musician and he is this and he is this. And how wonderful is it that he can go off in the world and be, you know what I'm saying, this wonderful man into his community and and still come home and respect his values as a man. I myself couldn't and wouldn't allow my own internal issues to impose on who he naturally is. And
Okay.
for so many reasons, we do that. We say, okay, well, you're married, so now, you know,
Who
now
is we?
that what you were trying to do, or forget that because we're married now, and you are. But what's to say this man can't be the greatest musician out of all times to be married? Many men and many women do that same thing. If
Right.
you knew a person was this when you made a choice and a conscious decision to fall in love with them, what about them has to change? And I get like, maybe, you know what, you can't hang out, you can't, you know, you can't be dealing with other women, but why would they have to give up their entire passion, their personality, their hopes and their dreams because they're married?
But doesn't that go back to what Mike talked about earlier? I don't know if you was part of that conversation, but he spoke about the lack of communication amongst couples in the black community.
Absolutely.
And see, and that's people. So before you got on, you know, one of the things I was telling Keisha, I said, what you don't realize, it's not finance, it's not infidelity that are breaking up these homes.
Mhm.
Now, does it have a part of, you know, to do with it? Yeah. Does it definitely create arguments? Yeah, we can go for that. But it's the lack of communication. So I could tell you this, speaking from a married man, I will not let my wife lose her identity.
Absolutely.
My wife had certain things that she did before we started dating that she does to this day. My wife has lost boyfriends because of what she does.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even something crazy. You know, it's not even something far-fetched like she's a stripper or something like that. It's nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that she enjoys doing
Mm-hmm.
and everything. So it's the same with me. It's stuff that I like to do in my spare time. I'm not going to have it to where, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to have it to where I lose my identity just because I got married. Now, I will respect.
That shows resentment.
Right.
If you do that.
I will respect my wife. Now, will you catch me in a strip club? Nah. Will I go to a bar? Yeah, I got a homie. I meet him there, but I don't drink. My wife know I don't drink. I know I don't drink. They know I don't drink. So I'm good.
Right.
You know, it's just that plays a big part with communication. And the thing is, with black men and black women, we don't communicate.
But that's hard.
We communicate. We communicate in the bedroom. Now we know how to tell each other what we want in the bedroom. That's all. That's too easy to talk about. But we don't know how to set boundaries.
But you know, that starts.
That's important.
That starts
Excellent.
at childhood. That starts at like a lot of times people lose their voices because if well, mama said I couldn't say, daddy said I couldn't say, and the thought
Man, listen,
will
and
penetrate keeps you from doing it.
but you gotta think. A lot of times when they say mama said, daddy said, mama and dad ain't even together.
That's very true.
And
And
on top of that,
hey,
if mom and daddy together, daddy's sleeping with Miss Jenkins down the road.
yeah,
And mama's sleeping with the milkman.
yeah.
So how are they gonna give me advice? I'm sorry, but I tell excuse me. I tell people all the time, if I'm a high school football player, if I'm in high school and I'm playing football and I'm a top recruit or whatever the case is, now I'm not saying I won't hear everybody, but I will listen to very few.
That's very true.
Because I want to listen to somebody who's been there, done that. If you don't know what a Division I admission office look like, or community college office looks like, don't come holler at me about going to college and this and that.
But on the same token, and I can respect that.
But I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why I say that. Because as Black people, we are the type of people. Show me, don't tell me. I remember
That's
checking.
our biggest issue. That is a huge issue because
Show me, don't tell me. And I remember I checked my brother when I was in probably middle school.
mhm.
I had to check him. I said, "You ain't never been to college. How you gonna tell me get up to do this and you ain't even never been?"
Yeah.
All right,
So
example. I got an example for you. Well, maybe not an example, just a thought behind it. I personally don't believe in meeting people by chance. I don't believe that anybody that you cross paths with, you were not supposed to meet. You were destined for whatever reason, and what
right,
reason to meet that person. Um, Sometimes people are speaking to you from a place that isn't even their own, right? So you could have a conversation with a complete stranger, somebody that you never know, that seems to be very familiar, and they're telling you something. I'm not saying I'm not saying exercise every practice that another person
I
to
got you.
you, but on the same token, be open to listen to it.
Yeah,
Somebody one time before was like, you know what? If a racist come up and tell you some racist, very racial, very, very racist stuff. Now I'm not talking about even offensive stuff, it's still some truth in that. You know,
right. But
it's still something that you need to learn.
Right.
90%, and we work in an environment, and Randy will tell you, I am a very nonchalant kind of person. If you told me the sky was purple, I'd tell you okay. I wouldn't argue with you because I don't like arguing. I don't like confrontation. So in the span of 8 hours a day, I probably hear things. 80% of what I hear, I know better. I like to think I'm kind of educated, and I spend a lot of time reading, and so I may know some factual information to prove why what was just said didn't make no damn sense. I'm also not gonna argue because I was always told that when you argue with a fool, a person on the outside can't tell who the fool is. So I'm not gonna waste my time, interjecting into anything, but I am still listening, and I'm listening from a place of trying to understand. Although they may not be telling you something that you can implement in your life, they are still speaking an experience that you could perceive as you could.
that's why I said what I said.
Mhm,
I said, and see, that's the thing. I said I would hear
mhm,
everyone,
mhm.
but I would listen to few. Now, when I said just those words just now, I'm telling you this, even as a man, as a 41-year-old man, you have to. It's detrimental to your mental. You have to have a filter.
You do.
You cannot listen and follow everyone to the end of the road.
I agree. It's like a old saying. They say, chew up the meat and spit out the bone. right?
Right.
Yeah.
So
I'll give you a
have to go.
I'll give you a great example. I listen to Farrakhan all the time. I love listening to Farrakhan. Very knowledgeable brother. Do I believe every word Farrakhan says? No. Do I agree with everything he says? No. I chew up the meat, I spit out the bones, and I go from there. Some things I take with me, some things I leave for, where it was at.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing. That's all I was saying. And it's just to where even as couples, black men and women, we don't communicate because you know why? We don't know how to listen, but we know how to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
the thing is, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you another thing that we mess up on. And this is something I learned in counseling. You come at me, let's say me and you date, right?
mm-hmm.
We in an argument. Now, we didn't calm down a little bit. I done came to you, told you what you did wrong. Now you telling me what I did wrong. Now we back arguing. Now, a better way to handle that situation, and I'm going to tell you this because this is something I not only learned in counseling, but I implemented in my marriage as well. Me and my wife can get into a heavy debate to where she feels some type of way. Okay, cool. It's my job to listen now. Not just hear, listen. Now, once she gets out, babe, why did you feel the way you did? Or, what would you feel I did wrong or whatever? Boom. And she hits me with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
My job is to listen, take that in, and soak on it and process, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, she could have been dead wrong. And she probably don't even know it yet. But she could have been dead wrong with something and didn't see it the way I saw it. Because that's the thing when you have two people arguing. They see the same thing, but from two different ways. Doesn't mean they're wrong. It's just they saw it two different ways. So what I do, I'll wait a day and a half, sometimes 2 days. And I'll say, you know what? Hey, babe, can I talk to you? Now, remember, it's 2 days later. She's calm, cool, collective. We done made up. Everything is kosher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Babe, can I talk to you? Do you have the capacity? That's something we always ask each other. Do you have the capacity to listen to me and hear me out? And she said, yeah, I got you. What's up? Okay, you did this, and I felt this way, and it made me feel this way, and yada, 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 and explain to her in detail what I saw and how I felt, and the reason why I reacted the way I did. See, that's the difference between calling each other bitches, hoes, fuck you, da 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 da, this and that and this, and yelling. I hate that because at the end of the day, that was what I was raised with. As far as when two people were disagreeing, it was chaotic instantly. Now I got to take 40 years of my life that I've learned this and switch it up to be able to listen.
It's like
Now,
reprogramming yourself to do something different.
Definitely, exactly. I had to reprogram myself so that I will never talk down to my wife or belittle my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And when you reprogram yourself and you do those things to where you're able to listen and go from there, things are a lot better. And men don't even realize that even sex is better. Sex is way better. Not when a woman gets what she wants, but when a woman is heard and she feels that she's seen by her husband.
Where the respect comes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when that happened, listen, man, you'll have motherfuckers off ceiling flaying doing shit. You know what I'm saying? Playing helicopter. But that's the thing. We don't do that. And I know Randy can vouch for me because we basically grew up like brothers. If we had a disagreement, it was all about who talks louder. Whoever talked the loudest won the argument. That's how it went.
Or if we came to throwing blows, then it was whoever whooped whoever ass. Whoever did the ass whooping was the What's the
What's the
victorious
right
one?
one? Who
Yep.
was the one was right?
Yeah,
But
it's because my phone is dying and I gotta go finish cooking.
Okay.
The our perceptions will never be the same. Women and men, look, and I was looking for something around me just to show my point. But if I show you my glasses right here, right?
mm-hmm.
Glasses. What's the first thing you see when you look at these glasses, both of you?
The red, the trimming, the lens.
I see the like you said, the red, the lens.
The red be the first thing I would see.
Okay, so when I look at them, I look at the structure of the glasses. We're all looking at the same item, right?
Right.
Perception is different. That's how life is. We could be looking at the same exact thing in the same moment, but we're gonna focus on what our mind tells us to focus on. We will never see life through the same lenses. No group of people, even if you're married, you can't. We're still goes back to what I was saying about being individual people. We all are individuals. It's never going to work that way. But I will 100% agree with you when you say communication is one of the biggest things with that, because that's how we break that barrier. Is understanding that
There
although
you go.
I have the right to feel that way, and I deserve to feel that way, and we don't have to be derogatory. We don't have to talk to each other crazy. We don't even have to argue. It's okay that you saw red and I saw the frame. We both are looking at the same thing, and everything doesn't need to be an argument. But everybody has to one up. Everybody does,
Right. And that's all we were saying.
and that destroys so many relationships,
That's
not just marriages, but just relationships as a whole, because everybody wants to be the what's that saying they used to say? Everybody wants to be the chief and nobody wants to be the Indian.
too many Chiefs, not enough Indians.
But somebody has to be the lesser. And
Right.
even in the real reality is women are the most kindest, most we are we're in our best selves when we're the most feminine. So you can get the best side of
But
woman
why is that?
feminine. The
Why,
same thing with men.
but why is
So
women? But if you saying all that,
Mhm.
women are their best when they feminine. But why is there so many women fighting to be this independent woman?
They're not. The idea that's not the
Boss chick.
conversation that I consistently have with my boss all the time. It has nothing to do. I am a said, and I don't even like to put that in the topic, but I'm a high earner for my age group or my class or whatever the case may be. I never went into anything with the goal of it being I'm a boss chick and I make money. Da, da, da. That's not the point. The point of me doing it for myself was to be self-sufficient enough not to have to rely on every type of man. So I want to be able to bring value. I want to be able to bring value in every space that I'm in, across the board. As
Listen,
a woman, knowing that this man may have 10 or, you always got options, right? Everybody has options. So when we had that conversation, what do you bring to the table? It's not about, for me, a financial thing. It's more of a educational thing. I I've built many things off of just education alone. So the idea that we are saying that we want, I don't need a man for nothing. Actually, those be the most broken women ever.
exactly.
The women who say that actually probably just need a hug.
well, it has a lot to do with the childhood upbringing when it
Exactly. They
comes to
probably just
that.
need a
Yeah.
man in their life to hug them
It's a
break.
behavior that they were
But
taught.
the world does not take kind to women who are able to be feminine all the time. We unfortunately, you have to, especially Black women, we aren't protected. It's now at the big, you know
Y'all aren't protected. I'm sorry. I can't agree with that. Cause I can't really agree with that
maybe
100%.
because you're a protector, so maybe you
Maybe,
don't see it that way. And that's
but
what I was about to say. As it wasn't until I was maybe 32, 33 that I started to be around men who actually wanted to protect from a place of just being sacred. Not I'm gonna protect you because you're pretty, not because I'm gonna protect you because of this, just because you know what? It's probably not a good idea for a woman to be outside at 10 o'clock at night pumping her gas. And this is somebody's mother, somebody's sister, somebody's something. I'ma just stay in my car and watch for the sake of her, just because that doesn't happen very often anymore. You might have 100 men, you might have 5 men that actually do that. They're not asking for anything from you. They
You
don't want
know,
anything from you. They just kind of want to make sure you're good.
let
And
me
that's a beautiful gift to give. If you are doing that, kudos to you, sir. Keep doing it because we need
listen.
men who do
You
that.
know why? You know why a lot of men don't do it? I'm gonna speak for these brothers who are not here.
Mm-hmm.
You know why a lot of men don't do it?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of brothers like me, like Randy, would walk up and say, "Good morning, beautiful. How you doing, Queen? Good morning. Good morning, Queen. How you doing?"
I ain't finna call you queen if I don't know
You're right.
And they would give you the screw face. They give you dirty looks. Won't even speak to you.
You're very right.
So that tarnished a lot of men for years. I remember growing up. If a girl knew back where I was from, if she knew she was a bad red bone, this and that, she could have almost any guy she want. She ain't gotta speak to you. But guess what? You ain't gonna always be that bad red bone. That same bad red bone got about 5 kids now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about 350 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nobody checking on her now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's beside the point. But the thing is, you guys don't even take compliments. Hey, you look beautiful. Hey, you look nice today. No, listen, you hold up, just like you told me. You might be one of the few that do that be a protector. You might be one of the few that'll take a compliment. But I've seen many sisters not take compliments, but want me to protect them.
That's
You couldn't even speak to me 2 days ago. I've been speaking to you for weeks and you've never spoken to me, but now you want me to protect your ass in these streets. No, you got it, sis. Go ahead, help, boss. Hey, you a boss chick. Hell your business.
That's why me as a person, I make it a point to always never be that kind of woman. I make it a point. You understand me?
I get you.
I make it a point because I know and I hear it and I understand.
But you need to teach. But the thing is,
try my best. It's hard.
Not just your kids.
No,
not just your kids.
Like,
you need to.
It wouldn't kill you to smile. I mean, damn.
Yeah, you need to teach.
It wouldn't kill you to be.
If every black woman would take the initiative and sit and talk to their daughters, their nieces, and have these topics just like we're talking about and talk about them, these girls wouldn't be so bitter. I'm not telling the girls to smile in everybody's face because every man don't mean you well.
Yeah.
And I understand that. I know it's some shitty guys out there, but you got to be able to read the bullshit when it comes to you.
That's true.
Now, and know your environment. Be aware of your surroundings. And that's the thing. But with all that being said, I've seen sisters that give I've seen it. I've been that guy. I've seen sisters that give brother the stank face after he spoke to her multiple times, multiple days, but get mad when seeing with a white girl.
Oh, that's the next topic, and they wonder.
Yeah,
a lot of, like I said, it's a running thing for me. Like I really be get mad because he's taking the Mexicans and shit like that. But what else he supposed to do?
But I had a situation. I had a situation like that when I was.
Hey guys, I don't mean to cut you off, but we only have 30 seconds left, so we got to cut it short. We're running over an hour, but yeah, so Anastasia, you want to close out with something? You got 30 seconds.
Thank you for the invitation. I've listened myself to understand, and I have a platform as well. So I'm gonna take that into my platform and make it a topic as well, because I mean that's stuff that needs to be heard. And like you said, it takes one person to be able to create that change for everyone. So
So it takes a village to raise a child. That's the part of the village that's what I mean by what I was saying. If the women would take the daughters, the nieces, and everything. But listen, if you ever have typers on your platform and you want me to come on, listen, I don't mind using my personal experience, and I don't mind, saying, hey, I'm
Oh, Mike, you cut out the end, man. I'm gonna need you to connect to some Wi-Fi, brother.
he gonna have to get him
He gonna have to, yes. He like he throwing the gang sign up or something.
Tripping and shit. All right, Randy. Let me
Hey, well,
check on
look, I appreciate you jumping on.